We need to talk about the Winnipeg Jets, the team on the ice, winners of 7 of 9. They've overcome their pretty slow start to the season, the injuries as well. But the team's not done adding some depth and experience, claiming Nick Shore off waivers from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's bring in our Winnipeg Jets insider, Sean Reynolds. Sean, we're not here to break down the value of Nick Shore, the player right now, but mostly Nick Shore, the contract and the claim. It's kind of a trend with the Jets to be claiming guys that not only offer cheap length in contract, but cheap dollar value as well. And you're suggesting there's a reason why they're so methodical at this, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the Winnipeg Jets, they're the hockey version of that guy who's in Walmart, picking out of the cheap CD bin, because they've been doing it all year with a number of players. But I mean, it makes sense because all the contracts they're getting are roughly around $750,000. All the parts that they're getting are interchangeable parts. And I think one of the things that it shows us is with the Dustin Byfuglien situation, that it's still very up in the air for the Winnipeg Jets whether or not they feel they're going to have to pay out that full contract for Byfuglien for the entire year. Because if they do, they really don't have any space, any cap space to be making any of these moves, because if they pay him fully, or had he been in the lineup this entire time, they were going to be right up against the cap from the start of the year till the end. So what this allows them to do is it allows them to go get different parts and use them in different ways, and do so in a manner that, should some kind of decision be made that they're going to have to retroactively pay Dustin Byfuglien to the beginning of the season, that it's not going to harm them financially along the way.
Now, Paul Maurice is always one for perspective. What's his thought on all of this? Because I believe, again, with the team thriving on the ice, it's not like these players are just coming in to be placeholders. They're also there to provide some sort of value when it comes to playing, right?
Yeah, they've needed to find a way to take these bargain basement players and these, fringe NHL players and make it so that they can contribute. And clearly what we're seeing with the Winnipeg Jets and their record is that they've been able to do that. It was interesting. We were talking to Paul Maurice about this on the weekend, and he was asked by Jason York why he's been able to pull this off. And he had an interesting take. He said that his team, or at least his defense core, has a little bit of a first-year Vegas Golden Knights feel, in that Vegas Golden Knights team, again, was, they were the misfits, and they were the guys who felt that they'd been slighted by their teams giving up on them. And a lot of those guys were considered fringe NHL talent. And what they did is each of those guys had something to prove, and they were able to prove something that year by going to the Stanley Cup final. Well, Maurice figures he's got the same kind of thing going with his defense core. A lot of these guys, from the top down to the bottom, had something to prove. Neil Pionk is trying to prove that he was fair value for Jacob Trouba, and he's been doing that so far. Josh Morrissey has been trying to prove in his first audition as a number one NHL defenseman that he's exactly that. And the rest of these guys are trying to prove that they belong in the NHL. So from one guy to the next, we've been seeing, the absolute top effort that they can give, because they all have something to prove. And it's sure been working out for the Winnipeg Jets when not a lot of people thought it could work out.
With that said, Sean, when you rely a lot on young players in the NHL, there's, a moment in the season, maybe they hit a wall, or, early, young, inexperienced mistakes come creeping on. That's why you add guys like Shore to bring some veteran presence and some experience to the lineup as well, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right, because they're picking up guys like Carl Dahlstrom, who really haven't played many games in the NHL before on one end, and then you're turning around, you're getting other guys like Lucas Spisa, or at the beginning of the year, not that they picked them up on the waiver wire, but they picked up Mark Letestu and Gabriel Bourque. You get a guy like Nick Shore, who's got a little bit of a resume behind him. And to me, what it is they're basically covering off, they're dotting all their I's and crossing all their T's. They're getting some young guys, like I said, who are coming in to try and prove that they belong, but then they're getting some more established guys who are there kind of waiting in the wings should, the young guys falter. So we've seen Carl Dahlstrom came in, he played a few games, did well, had an addition. Now you put in some more established guys like Nate Beaulieu when he comes back in. And should he get injured, you've got young guys who can come in, or you've got old guys who can step up. And it really allows Paul Maurice to ice the kind of lineup he wants. If he wants to go in with guys with experience, he can do that. If he wants the hunger that those younger guys bring, he's got that option as well. That's why we've seen just so many of these waiver wire claims by the Winnipeg Jets. And once again, it seems to be working.
Exactly that. It feels like Paul Maurice is picking the right combination night in, night out. Again, the Jets winners of 7 of their last 9 games. Sean Reynolds, thanks for this.
Anytime.